Now let's talk about lyric and pastoral poetry. Another type of poetry, lyric poetry, are short, deeply emotional poems that express the thoughts and feelings of the speaker. The term lyric comes from a Greek musical instrument and refers to poems that were originally sung with music. Lyric poems are usually short. They do not normally tell a story, but they focus on the internal, private thoughts and feelings of the writer. They are often written in first person. Because lyric poems do not tell a story, they are not narrative and they have no real plot. However, they do have a theme. Common themes include ideas surrounding love and mortality. Some types of lyric poetry include sonnets, elegies, and odes because they have many characteristics of lyric poetry. The sonnet is a lyric poem. It is a 14-line poem with a strict rhyme scheme written in iambic pentameter. It is a highly emotional expression from the speaker. View Sonnet 30 by Edmund Spenser and notice how he pours out his emotions in his poetry. Another type of lyric poem, the elegy, has a strict meter, it commemorates the dead, and it has a melancholy or contemplative mood. View the example elegy by Walt Whitman and notice how he commemorates the death of his captain in this elegy. The ode is a longer lyric poem that has no strict structure. It is about positive topics and expresses a strong feeling of love or respect to a person or object. View the example poem Ode to the West Wind by Percy Bysshe Shelley. Notice how he praises the wind that comes in. View an excerpt of the lyric poem below and notice how she says, "Since from myself another self I turned." This reveals the theme of unrequited love, or love that is not returned. Lyric poems often have refrains in the form of one line or several lines. Remember that refrains are repeating lines within a poem. View another excerpt from the example lyric poem below and notice how the repetition of "or" towards the end of the stanza emphasizes the desperation the speaker feels towards the loss of her love. Lyric poems do have a set rhyme scheme and meter, but the author can choose how he or she wants to structure the poem. Lyric poems are also written in some kind of stanza form. View another excerpt from the example lyric poem. Notice that the rhyme scheme is AB, AB, C, C. The rhyme scheme can be whatever the author chooses, but there will be a set rhyme scheme. The last poetry type we will cover is pastoral poetry. The term pastoral comes from the word pastor, a Latin term meaning shepherd. The content of pastoral poetry presents an idealized or perfect vision of rural life or shepherding life. Themes include the purity of country life, the value of poetry, death and mourning, and corruption of the city. View an excerpt from the example pastoral poem below and notice how the speaker describes the beauty of life in the country. This reveals the theme of the purity of country life. Although there is no set rhyme scheme, meter, or stanza form, similar to lyric poetry, pastoral poems will have a rhyme scheme, meter, and maintain stanza form. Read through the full example of the pastoral poem. Notice that there is a set rhyme scheme, structure, and theme that reveals the beauty of country life. Make sure to remember the different themes and structures of lyric and pastoral poetry.
Created using Powtoon.